I'm Seamless, and today I'm going to show you how to make this sound. So, I am doing some really interesting stuff here. The basic breakdown of what this represents is I have engaged the noise and the resonance action here, and I'll demonstrate what that does in a clear moment in a second with a new Harmor. I'm just going to go over the list. Starts off with that, and then the blur action is on. Oh, hey, by the way, I finally figured out what the hell this does, so get ready for that description. And then it goes into here. I'm using so much content awareness inside Harmor to make this work. So let's start. Okay. Oh yeah, and the phaser is active too. The phaser's on, and it's in Harmor mode, and it's after all of this action. There's a lot of action here. Yeah, so step one, if you want to have that giant window, because that's usually the full size of Harmor's visualizer, you come into the description box here, and you type in, "I has more view." I misspelled it, but that's okay, and cool. This lets us have a big old window, so we can see lots of stuff if you feel like it. Step one is get your low pass set up to noise. By that I mean the filter's resonance. You don't actually have to move the filter for it to do the thing. So here's something fun. You see how there's kind of still stuff in between there? And I don't know if you ever noticed, but the resonance mask is always on, and it's always like this. This is a default setup to make it so that like peaky resonance action isn't so devastating. And more in line with what regular filters act like. But when it's in this strange mode, if you want it to be fully perfect, you got to come in here and get rid of it. Be like, no. And then it'll do the thing. So up here, the resonance and width controls now do different stuff. The resonance value is essentially a depth. And width is length. Ironically. I guess it technically is horizontally wide. And then it randomly generates level based on randomness, I guess. I pointed out in previous videos that if you engage Unison and do something like this, you don't immediately hear stereo because the random map is the same for both voices of Unison, but you can tell it not to be. And then it'll randomize that way. I turn that on too because it's fun. And the next step, like in the next continuing on this path, although I will show you what I do in one voice before I get up to do being more in one voice. Essentially though, I changed that value per voice so that it doesn't sound so static like that. But go in the advanced tab. Filter 1 is the thing we're using to do this. So this is going to be here, but first I want the blur. We'll get the Prism involved in a second. So the blur is essentially a constant attack and decay on all action. So if you could think of every single one of these as being a thing that was an envelope that had no envelope, it was just on off. But now we're going to apply an envelope. A little hard to tell, but it's happening. There it is. Isn't that fun? The next step is to use the Prism. What the Prism does is it changes Harmor's like individual. That's the guy. We'll get there too. But the job of the Prism is to change each of these pitches according to this map. And the other one I made a custom map. I was just like, wee. If you thought to yourself, that sounded unnecessarily talky. That sounded talkier than anything I've ever done. And it's because it was straight pitch motion and not filter motion, which is not as powerful as just oscillators moving to make the talking thing happen. But one power that the Prism has is these modes, which enable it to adjust its intensity based on individual harmonic level. Am I doing this right? Nope. There it is. See that? So, as you get louder, the pitch gets changed more. And if it doesn't get as loud, it doesn't change as much. This creates just the perfect little universe of action in one voice. But now let's talk about getting into other voices. So one of the things I wanted about this was that kind of constant activity that is a rate of progging this width control. I wanted to be more in action than that. So a bunch of voices together, pan them up, why not? Come in here, edit articulator, Edison or Unison index mapping. These pillars represent this value for all of those voices. And I like to assume that center is actually center, but I'm pretty sure voice number 1 is actually over here, but I don't know if that's the center voice. Isn't that a fun filter? So the last thing to do is to get the phaser involved, because the phaser's action has a twist when you turn it on to the harmonic mode. This will change the phaser's location, because right now it's just gonna do the average thing. But if I turn on Hertz mode, it has activity, but you can see it's very well like layered in there with the thing, and that's because its activity is being influenced by the change in pitch per harmonic. And because that pitch change is happening before the phaser, we are seeing influence show up. You still see the regularity when I move it around, but if I leave it there, all kinds of fun out there. Yes, and I didn't change anything about that in the other guy, I don't think. Yeah, okay, now we can go to the other guy, because this is essentially what one little moment of it is, but then we got to set up some modulation. So the things that I'm changing to do this, I'm modulating primarily the Prism, number X here. Number X, yeah. What's number Y? Number Y, or actually X is also part of this, I think. Nope, this is just the Unison index mapping. There it is, that's what I ended up doing there. I had 5 voices originally. Here it is. I was using the actual main resonance value on the Y value. That's doing that there. And then the X is the Prism value, or rather the phaser value. And so in the automation, you can see that it's actually not on all the time. It's actually only on during these moments. And then this main modulation is actually just the Prism change. And that's this knob here. And right now it's off, so it's not doing anything. And that's that activity happening. The map being different is what's causing these harmonic convergences like this. This graph is a positive and negative polarity graph. So the pitch can go up and the pitch can go down. And if pitches above, pitches below go down, and if pitches below, above, pitches below, wow. If they go the wrong directions, they're going to do that. That's all I needed to say. Yeah, so that's what the modulation is doing this here. Back in the advanced tab, I put the filter 2 in there. I was going to do something. Oh yeah, I did actually end up using the literal filter inside here, but it was only just so that the very beginning of it would do that. And it is not at all because I wanted that sound. It's because when played together with the thing, having that little bit of tail in there helps. And it's keyboard tracked, so that means that this filter isn't actually just down here. In fact, I've been using the Hertz mode. The filter is a per note experience, so that means that the higher notes that I'm playing in this chord have the filter action higher, which means that it's not actually being filtered there. There's still activity there, it's just those higher notes for that moment. And then it gets to be the bigger cloud. Oh. I've never seen crap move around like that. And still sound good? Like, I can make noise and terrible choices all day, but it's weird that you can move this much stuff around and still have it come out notey, in my opinion. I do love it, though. I'd never not have fun with this sort of thing. And I haven't even really tried to make a bass using all of these techniques all in a row like this. I figured it actually would be easier to start with pads, given the sort of randomly placed nature of the primary component. So that's why this was about doing that. Yeah. I do not think... Oh, okay, I was going to say what this whole thing actually did. And to do that, we actually got to go back to the guy. The other Harmor. The Harmonic Blur. Actually, we'll do a custom shape. This is... So basically, the normal Harmonic Blur blurs it in like the envelope kind of ADSR way. And then this Harmonic Blur, they're both called, that's all. It blurs it up and down. So if there's activity that's at a certain harmonic in a certain way, but not on the harmonic below it, it blurs them. And then there's up tension and down tension. So that's up tension and down tension. It's how you make something that looks too sharp not be sharp, but in the spectral sense, in the sense that now there's extra frequency information above and below where the activity was, which you can still do with a regular filter and noise configuration. So that's what that does. And that has eluded me for years. I've basically experienced the effect of it, but never quite totally got that's what it was doing. And now I actually know why it helped me make the piano better. Yes, because this, harmonically speaking, is the sort of spectral equivalent of what reverb does to stuff. It blurs it. So that's powerful stuff if it's understood and used for its actual purpose. Anyway, if you have any questions about this, please let me know. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all of that fun stuff. And as usual, have a nice day.